There's an account on X of a South African self-proclaimed political icon called Chris Excel. Some may know him, some may not. This account, Chris Excel, is one of the most followed accounts in Africa, and you'd think with such a huge following, you'd expect educational posts, politically inclined posts, and strategies that encourage the uneducated, clueless youth of South Africa to be invested in the politics of this country, or anything that benefits the Black community, that includes holding accountable the government for their gross incompetence in this country. But instead, he is telling his 4 million followers to vote for racists back in power. He is advocating for white leadership in South Africa. In this case, he is calling on all the clueless youth of South Africa to vote for Freedom Front Plus President Peter Groenewald of Orania. Who is Peter Groenewald of Freedom Front Plus in Orania? Peter Groenewald is a founding member of Freedom Front Plus. His party was formed in 1994 by racist politicians who rejected the transition to democracy and broke away from the National Party. Peter Groenewald was a member for the National Party from 1989 to 1994 in the Apartheid Parliament. It's crucial to remember that the National Party was the architect of Apartheid, a system declared a crime against humanity by the UN. The system enforced racial segregation through laws like the Population Registration Act, which classified people by race, and the Group Areas Act, which forcibly removed Black people from their land in 1955. Groenewald and other racists rejected the National Party specifically because it agreed to dismantle this oppressive system and transition to a democratic dispensation. They then co-founded the Freedom Front Plus in March 1994, just before South Africa's first democratic elections. At the time, Groenewald explicitly stated that he could never be led by a Black man. This party was founded to protect the privileges of the white minority who benefited from apartheid. Today, Cyril Ramaphosa and the government of national unity have made this former apartheid legislator a minister. To see a Black South African celebrating an apartheid apologist makes me genuinely sick. This Chris Excel makes me sick. It's a shame that this account has such a big following, but his lack of education results in a very poor analysis and miseducation for his followers. The criminality of Black ANC comrades has nothing to do with the rest of us as Black people. I want you to understand that. You must distinguish between racism and criminality. We have both white and Black criminals in the world, in the country, by the way. In fact, white criminals are just smooth operator than your average Black criminals. For example, Marcus used a former Steinhoff CEO, a big criminal who faked his own death after swindling billions of rands of the stock market. The ANC criminals are small boys in comparison to Marcus used. So stop worshipping whiteness. They steal in a big way. Europeans stole African lands from Africans, stole American lands from the American Indians, stole land from the Aboriginal people in Australia, stole Indian land from Indians, and the most recent, they stole Gaza from Palestinians, and we know that the suffering that follows these invasions are severe. And you think we'd be better off under white rule? Is this Chris Excel okay in the head? Let me remind you, Chris Excel, because of this mentality that you have, we had many years of load shedding in South Africa because a very incompetent white man was in charge of Eskom. Whites blamed previous Black management for his failures, and clever Blacks like Chris Excel were in agreement. They claimed, oh, this white person was fixing a mess created by Blacks. Since he left, this incompetent white CEO, Black engineers have returned to power, and Eskom is stable again, and we have electricity, and they're even posting their profits. Let's stop equating criminality with Blackness. Yes, the ANC is full of corrupt Black criminals. That does not make every Black person or politician a criminal. Besides, this Chris Excel account worships certain Black criminals, the likes of Kenny Kunene and Gayton McKenzie and Fidel Adams, for example. The ANC is bad and contaminated with corrupt criminal elements, but despite that, you must never equate it with apartheid because it was far worse. The bad living conditions of Black people in the Western Cape of the DA should tell you something about this so-called white rule Black South Africans desperately worship. The youth of South Africa is going to fail because of their uneducated minds and following dangerously ignorant accounts that glorify racism. You are going to fail dismally. We had an incompetent CEO at Eskom, a white incompetent CEO at Eskom that was responsible for load shedding. Literally, there was a period in South Africa where we wouldn't have electricity for 8 months. The entire 8 months, it was just dark in South Africa. 8 months. And you know what clever blacks like this account, Chris Excel, said? Well, he's fixing the gross negligence or the gross misuse of funds at Eskom by the previous black government of Jacob Zuma. He's just cleaning up the mess. There isn't enough money. He's trying his best. Clever blacks saying, yes, it's Jacob Zuma that created this mess. This poor white CEO is just trying to patch. You know, there's no money, but he's trying to patch where he can. But in all honesty, De Ruyter, or whatever his name is, it Andre De Ruyter, the former CEO of Eskom, that white CEO, he was incompetent. He was incompetent. He was stealing. He was swindling money from Eskom. We didn't have electricity while he enriched himself. And when he stepped down as CEO, black competent engineers stepped into power. And now electricity is 24/7 in South Africa. There are no load shedding. There are parts of South Africa that, but it's not a lot. There are parts of South Africa that still struggle with electricity, but it's not a lot. It's a small percentage. But every day here in South Africa, there's electricity 24/7, 365. We can even give Nigeria and Zimbabwe and Botswana electricity the way we have so much of it, because of competent black engineers that step to the plate. Now Eskom is even posting their net worth, what they've made. They're posting their financial plans. They're posting their finances to the public. Before that, with that incompetent white CEO, we didn't have financial figures of Eskom. We didn't know what is happening in Eskom. We did not know the financial situation at Eskom. We knew that Eskom was in the brink of collapse, and this white man is trying by all means to undo what the black government of Jacob Zuma did. He was trying all his best, but it was a lie. It was a lie. I don't understand why white incompetence is not called out the way black incompetence is called out in this country. That CEO was a criminal. He stole from us. He stole our electricity. So we have dangerous accounts like Chris Excel equating criminality to racism. Guys, alluding to the fact that criminality is only found in the black community. Only black people are criminals. Hence, we should vote white racists in power to counteract the criminals, the black criminals. This Chris Excel is insane, uneducated and stupid, because the difference between racism and criminality, there is no link even. It's two separate entities. The DA is full of white criminals in the political party. The DA swindled over 6.3 billion rands from the city of Cape Town. They are criminals. So what does that mean? Does it mean that we need John Steenhuisen as president, knowing damn well that his party steals from Cape Town municipalities, Western Cape municipalities? They are criminals. Call a spade a spade. Just like how Cyril Ramaphosa, Paul Mashatile, to a certain extent, people say Julius Malema, but hey, let me count him in. Julius Malema, Gwede Mantashe, and all the black politicians of the ANC are stealing from the country. So is the DA. They're both criminals. Why must one be glorified? Why must one be called out? Why must one be given a clean audit and the rest we are going to the streets to protest against them? Why aren't they treated the same? Why is justice selective? Why do we have selective accountability? Is this misinformation and this uneducated minds that will take us back to white leadership? I don't care if what's his name, Groenewald, Peter Groenewald of Orania is doing good in his ministry, in his correctional service ministry. Yes, he's a minister of correctional services, and apparently he's doing a stellar job. I don't care if he's doing a stellar job. It doesn't mean now he's ready to take over the country. It doesn't mean we should hand him the country on a silver platter when he voted for apartheid to still continue. When he formed a party that will protect the interests of the apartheid benefactors, that will protect the rights, that will protect the interests, the financial interest, the economical interest of the apartheid benefactors. And now we must hand him the country so that he can continue to loot on a higher scale while being racist. He hasn't changed. How do you think Peter Groenewald has changed from 1994 up until 2025? Do you think he has changed? Guys, racism is embedded deep, is a DNA, is part of a DNA strand. It's passed down from generation to generation. We are dealing with thousands and thousands of years of racism that cannot be broken overnight, that cannot be fixed overnight. It's a trait, it's a genetic trait passed down from his grandparents to his great grandparents to his children to him to it's a generational thing within the white community. Racism lives there. It's who they are. And you think that 1994 a fake black president would change that? That's why we are where we are today, because of accounts like Chris Excel, because of listening to such people, because of uplifting them and giving them a high standing in our lives, in our reasoning capacity, is the reason why we are still here today, is the reason why we don't have land, is the reason why there's a huge gap of inequality. We are the majority of this country, yet we don't have even 10% of this country's wealth. It's all in the hands of the minority. The unequal wealth gap in South Africa is strife. There's more layers to colonialism, need I tell you, people? And you're gonna listen to this Chris Excel and you're gonna let him dictate how the political landscape of this country should go forward. The youth of this country will suffer. Chris Excel, you might find out that he might die tomorrow. He will leave us with these consequences. Busy promoting nonsense. Peter Groenewald does a good job for 2 months, and then we must hand him the country on a silver platter when he voted for apartheid not to end back in 1994. Back in 1992, actually, together with AfriForum. Yeah? And you want to hand him the country. Black South Africans are never beating the allegations. They're never beating the allegation of being a white man's simp. They're never beating the allegations of being inferior. They're never beating the allegation of being house slaves. Never beating the allegations. Black South Africans are okay in flexing their muscles to other African people because of their proximity to whiteness, but they'll never confront white injustice. They'll never confront the racial disparity of this country, the racial tension that is currently brewing in this country. They'll never question the United States interference in our domestic politics, never undermining our sovereignty, the Israel embassy undermining our sovereignty. They'll never question that. They'll never question the DA stealing 6.3 billion rands from the Western Cape municipalities. They'll never question that. They'll never. Simple. What do you think about this segment? Comments to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking conversations right here on the African Diaspora News channel. And oh, family, I have my own YouTube channel. It's called The Native Talk. Yay! The link is in the description box below. So do go to the description box below, click on the link and subscribe to The Native Talk. We talk everything African political buzz, the cultural landscape that shape this beautiful continent of mine, and your favorite South African destination that you'd like to travel with me one day. So until then, I'll see you on The Native Talk. Bye.